Why analyse remuneration policies in oil and gas? How do we analyse executive pay in the industry, and what would such an analysis reveal? My name is Said Rasul Ashraf Khanov. I'm an associate analyst in Carbon Tracker's oil, gas and mining team, and I'm happy to present the fifth installment in our series on executive remuneration in oil and gas. The energy transition is underway and threatening a structural decline in oil and gas demand. For some companies, it's a real risk that can only be mitigated by reducing production rates. With the demand for oil, gas and coal expected to peak before 2030, the need to respond to transition risks grows ever more urgent. Whether or not oil and gas companies do so depends not only on the strategy set by the board, but also on the decisions made by chief executives. And when it comes to human behavior, money is one of the strongest incentives. Executive bonus awards tied to specific performance metrics have an outsized influence on executive decision-making. The goal of our series is to quantify this influence. To understand whether remuneration policies are designed to incentivize a response to transition risks or action on climate, or both, we group all metrics into one of four mutually exclusive buckets. These are framed around impact on hydrocarbon output, direct growth, indirect growth, growth neutral, and transition response. For the purposes of this report, we picked some of the world's largest oil and gas companies and analyzed their remuneration policies from 2022. And we found the enduring presence of metrics that incentivize growth in hydrocarbon output. Metrics that directly incentivize oil and gas production were found at 16 companies, most prominently at CNRL, PetroChina, and ExxonMobil. Combined with indirect growth metrics such as profits or cash flows, they accounted for around a third of target variable pay at 7 companies. Only 10 companies incorporated metrics that incentivize transition response, and these point to the persistent Atlantic divide. European companies attach more weight to metrics to pivot to new markets and are more likely to incentivize renewables and other forms of low-carbon energy than companies based in the US. We further found that transparency is still a problem. We were unable to label some of the metrics at Cenovus, Chesapeake, Pioneer, and Suncor. But the worst offenders are national oil companies. CNOOC, Saudi Aramco, and Sinopec did not provide a metric breakdown, and Petrobras left almost a half of variable pay undisclosed. We do note, however, that PetroChina has for the first time disclosed its incentives, but with limited detail on the ground values of the different components making up executive remuneration. Only 6 companies have prospectively disclosed their remuneration policies in 2023. Compared with 2022, the split between growth neutral, and transition response metrics has stayed largely the same, but with slight variations in the share of growth metrics. Our report provides a detailed metric breakdown at each company over the last 4 years, a review of vesting periods of long-term incentive plans, an analysis of emissions reductions metrics, and a list of key engagement questions. If you have any queries about transition risks in oil and gas, don't hesitate to reach out to us at oilgasmining@carbontracker.org.